I am so excited to be part of Claudia's Creations new online courses. I'm Sara from sewingmastery.com, and Claudia, these are finally available for students around the world to finally use your designs. Let's talk about where you are going with these designs, what you're going to learn, and how exciting this is.
I'm so grateful that I'm able to move my designs from teaching, physically going to different quilt shops all around the United States to now getting them on a website where people can all over be able to download them and have them for lifetime.
Yes.
And be able to do that, because that's something I've wanted to do, but
I'm
thank
so
you.
excited for
you. Dragged me into it. I love it.
I did. But we have some designs behind us. We're going to show you some of the available designs. And we're talking about rehooping and creating designs that are on bigger pieces of fabric.
Yes.
How did this all kind of get started?
Well, isn't that funny? But this is what interested me, because I wanted to see how big I could go. And so I just had started. Actually, this was one of my first big ones right here, Enchanted Pumpkin. I was asked to, could you make it bigger than the hoop? And so I had to figure out a way to do multi-hooping, and that was actually one of my very first ones of doing it with applique, how to get bigger and bigger. And so that's kind of the one that kicked off my how to do multi-hooping with big things. So now you can see, even though that fabric is maybe only 18 inches square, now I'm like, well, here's a 45-inch piece when you've worked with it, or whatever the width of the fabric is. And that would, of course, be the biggest I would go with. But you can't get bigger than the width of your fabric. Well, you could. But that has been, I just had no idea I was going to enjoy that so much.
Yes.
Because I like the challenge. I like to see what it was.
You have jumped in with both feet.
So that's how that came about.
I've also noticed that with people with these brand new machines and these fabulous features, that they're not using them to their fullest, and yet you are giving them a tool to start dabbling into and doing that. And I know you've been teaching for a long time, but now with your online courses, they can go back and put you on repeat.
Exactly. That's what's so brilliant about those, because we all need repetition to remember. We might remember it for a week if we're doing it constantly, but if we take a 3-month hiatus and go do something else and come back to embroidery, that's what's so wonderful about having the course. You can just rewind it, put it back on there, get back in the groove, and really be able to start embroidering some pretty great things. And use those features on your machine, which I think are so, exactly as you were saying, so fabulous. We have paid for these incredible things that we can do with our machine, and let's take advantage of them.
Yes.
Let's use those babies, and you can be able to do anything.
So we're talking about, if you own a Bernina, we're talking about pinpoint placement on the brother and baby lock.
It's you use your height. What I love to use about those is your camera, your scanner, your projection. Fabulous tools.
And then on the FOP and Viking, your design positioning and your precise positioning. A lot of words there, but it all means that you can get things perfectly lined up. And when we say perfect with your designs,
I'm talking about not being off by the width of a needle. That's what I'm talking about. Being that close, because that's what those tools allow you to do. It's pretty phenomenal.
It is. Now, one thing you do a lot is talk about stabilizer etiquette. Walk me through some of the prep that go into the pieces when you take an online course.
So it's really all about the fabric that you're using and how you prep it. If you don't start with that, you won't have success. It really is important. So when you're starting with a basic piece of fabric, it needs to be stabilized first with a liquid starch. I prefer Terrio Magic. I think it works phenomenal to do that. I tell you a few little tricks about that to get the best process you can. You don't want to let it dry all the way, because then it's like a crispy critter and it's hard to iron it out. But you learn that in there. Also, how to add shape flicks to the back of your fabric, which is a woven interfacing. It could be another woven interfacing. Woven is the key here. You want to make sure you have that on. You want to make sure you adhere that with a little bit of water and a little bit of steam. That's how it makes it become one, so that they don't separate. If you're separating, you haven't got an iron that is well enough to seal those, or That's really probably what it is. Or so anyway, that's what that is. And then also, of course, the actual physical stabilizer that you use, where it would be a tearaway on my stuff. The reason I like heavyweight, I use heavyweight stabilizer, is one, it comes off crisp and sharp and easy, and it holds enough stitches so that you get a fabulous embroidery stitch out.
Because you are putting a lot of stitches on these fabrics.
Are. Even though there's a lot of lacework fills, there's still a lot of stitches in there.
Yes, and the detail of Claudia's digitizing is amazing. Every time I look at one of your quilts, I'm like, how did I not see that? Or that little detail, or that little addition.
Thank you, my artists who draw for me, but I love it when they put in a lot of detail, because that's so interesting when you're looking at your quilts. I love that.
Let's talk about, you teach a couple different ways of hooping for the project. Should we start with the grid method?
So I'm just going to kind of hold this up and see this. This is someone who's right now smack dab doing a patriotic parade. It looks like this, and she is using the technique where you use a hoop and you use the grid that comes with the hoop. And the trick is when you're doing on this, that you want to make sure one of the lines that you drew on your fabric lines parallel, if not directly under, a line that is on this grid. That's because the straighter you hoop, the more accurate the easier it's going to be to align your design. So this is traditional. I would call this traditional hooping.
And then you point out, like, your directions are also amazing. Is you show them exactly where to start.
So probably the trickiest part about my designs is going to the first stitch. I know that doesn't sound that tricky, but you go to the first stitch. Then you pick up an arrow-shaped Post-it note and you mark it wherever the needle goes. And it's not going to be wherever you think it is. So if you think, oh, it should go down here, it'll probably be up here. If you think it should be over there, it'll be over here. You can't outthink the design. Wherever the needle goes for color one, you mark it. Then then the directions will say the arrow on the grid points to a specific spot on your fabric, and you just hoop it with that arrow pointing to that area. So it's pretty clear. And of course, with the video, it makes it a little bit easier for you to understand that. That's the traditional way of, I would say, hooping. The non-traditional way probably is hoop a piece of stabilizer that has been sprayed with 505. And the reason I say that, well, I will say a temporary adhesive spray. That's my favorite one, is 505. They did the 100-year test on it and it didn't hurt your quilt at all. That's why I like that one. But also, I don't use sticky back because it doesn't wash away as well. And when you do a tearaway, when I finish my quilt and block it, this becomes very soft when you soak it in hot water for 30 minutes, where the one that has the backing doesn't quite go away as much. So that's why you could use it, but this is what I prefer.
Makes the quilting later go a little smoother.
Exactly, and it poofs it out, looks great. So this one, this way would be you just hoop a piece of stabilizer, spray it with adhesive spray, and you're going to float the fabric. This one you hoop the fabric and float the stabilizer. They're exactly opposite of what you're going to do. So when you're going to hoop this one, you would take your fabric, and where this arrow is, you just take the piece of fabric and slide it under the needle exactly where it goes. I show you exactly how to do that in your videos, but both work well. This one you'd use a basting box to hold the fabric down. This one you use the hoop itself to hold the fabric down. So it just depends which one you use, which technique.
So those are just more techniques to learn about the basting features of your machine. And it's always good, I always tell my students, is to try both ways. Not just one time.
Absolutely.
But like we say, this is something about repetition. And when you have to rehoop this many times, you're going to get it. Trust me.
And you'll find that you probably like one more than the other, or that this one works well when you're doing this kind of a thing, and that one works well when you're going to do another type of one. Like if I had embroidery on top and bottom and I wanted to just do something in the middle, I like floating because I don't have to hoop over the embroidery.
Oh, that makes sense.
But if I have a clean open field, I love this one too. So.
Well, speaking of repetition, is being able to re-watch these videos as you get going, and then to go back and rewind you. Sometimes you get going and I just need to pause and hear that again.
Exactly.
And you do have instant download with your classes. So
exactly.
If you want to start tonight, you find these just so exciting and you can't wait to start. As soon as you purchase the course, the designs are in there, all the formats, and you're ready to go as soon as you want to start. I do love that.
That's exactly right. I do
is
too.
there.
That's and they're there forever.
Forever, yes. So if Claudia disappears, you still have the class. Plus, they can get a hold of you. So all your students will have access where they can email
Exactly.
questions.
If you have any questions or you have a specific situation about something, you just type it in, send it to us, and we get back with you as fast as we can.
Take a picture of what you're working on. That always, I
so
know,
nice.
I love it when people send me like questions with the picture because then I know what
because
we're
you go, oh, I can
talking
see
about
that
there.
is it. That's so good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so good.
So I hope you'll check out all the classes and the workshops. You've been teaching for quite a few years, and so you are still putting up some of your past workshops. So if you are finding this video, there might be still designs that you haven't posted yet.
I think we're just putting up All Hallows Eve this week.
Yes.
No, this is Halloween Haven, but All Hallows Eve, which is an older design. So fast to sew out because it's one color. It's like boom, 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 and you're done.
Fun.
But that's fun. So that's exactly what we're trying to do is bring in some of the older ones with videos so that you know, so you have instruction on how to do it.
Yeah. So this one is
Home for the Holidays.
Yep. And then the one behind you
is Halloween Haven.
Yes. So these are just
these are brand new. These have been an exclusive design for the last
since they were made
3 or 4 years, whatever. So now they're up on, and you're able to get them up through the website.
Yes. So I wish you well in all your future courses. And I know she's got a few more designs that you've been working with artists to then use in the future. So again, check out what's coming, get on your email list, and then you'll stay in the know. So,
that's it.
Yes, enjoy. And I love that you're doing online courses.
Me too. Thank you so much.
All right. Enjoy.